In this episode, I want to share with you a tried and true concept that will make your team meetings more effective than they've ever been before. Ready to incorporate some new thinking into your approach to problem solving? Let's get into it.
Welcome to Why Business Teams Fail and How to Avoid It, a show helping small business owners build a radically engaged team that can run the business without you, so you can remove the stress from owning a business and enjoy the freedom you deserve. Now, here's your host, Rich Allen.
Today you'll learn that most meetings and decision-making processes are more frustrating and time-wasting than they need to be or should be. That using a proven methodology for structuring your meetings will help energize your team and improve your decision-making skills. And as the business owner, you hold the key to radical team engagement, and it may come in the form of a hat. In fact, 6 different hats. Here's my question for you this week. Do your meetings energize your team or suck the life out of them? Let's be honest. The one thing that can instantly suck the life out of a great workday is having to participate in a meeting that's untimely, unstructured, and not well planned out. When that happens, something that could and should take no more than 10 minutes to resolve can take well over an hour and burn the most valuable resource you have in a business, your time. But it doesn't have to be that way. There is an alternative to having meetings that are driven by structure and organization. And to do that, all you need to do is implement a simple problem-solving and design thinking framework that was originally introduced by the father of lateral thinking, Edward de Bono. De Bono first published his framework in 1985, and it's become a classic in the world of problem solving. You may have heard of it before, the 6 thinking hats. If you're not familiar with his work on the 6 thinking hats, I'd highly recommend you Google it and read up on it. It's a powerful way to get everyone working in a structured way that reduces friction and improves collaboration. And who doesn't need and want that? I'd like to spend a few minutes to give you an overview of the 6 thinking hats today. And while we're going through this, I'm going to ask you to think about the meetings you normally find yourself in and consider whether using this framework might make it easier for those routine meetings to become more productive and efficient. The idea is simple but powerful. Rather than everyone thinking in a different direction at once, the team members in the meeting wear the same thinking hat at the same time. And as you might imagine, each of the 6 hats represents a different way of thinking. Each hat represents a certain aspect or angle that you focus on when you put on that hat. So instead of chaos and confusion, you get parallel thinking. Instead of ego clashes and conflicts, you get collective insight. This framework is not just a way to organize your meeting, it's a mental model that can change how your team thinks, solves, and creates. Here's what each hat stands for. The white hat stands for facts and information. What do we know? What data do we have? And what are the gaps? The white hat is all about what we know, and just as importantly, what we don't know. This hat strips away opinions, assumptions, and emotions. When your team wears the white hat, the goal is simple: to surface objective facts, measurable data, and observable trends. It's the hat of clarity. You can imagine that if you're going to make a big decision about a product offering or a change in your service agreement, you'll likely have some team members who have a strong emotional reaction to making the change. Some may be emotionally charged to make the change happen, while others will be equally emotional about not making the change. So it would make sense to hit the pause button to ask, what do we know? Before allowing emotions to enter the discussion, first you should gather some real usage data review customer support tickets, look at revenue trends, and consider product or platform dependencies. Once the facts are laid out without emotion, the decisions may become very obvious. The lesson here is, when in doubt, pause and reach for the white hat. Get the data first. The red hat stands for emotion and intuition. What are we feeling? What's our gut saying? What feels off? The red hat invites emotions to the table. Whether you like it or not, emotions may not always be right, but they're always present. Ignoring them doesn't make them go away. It just buries them under the surface until they promptly resurface later. With the red hat, your team can express their gut reactions, concerns, fears, and instincts without needing to justify them. It humanizes the discussion. If you're like many business owners, the expression of emotions is not all that welcomed unless they're your emotions. And many team members feel they can't really share what they're feeling about a decision or action because to do so would come across as if you're not a team player. But what if you had a structured way to invite the emotions of a big decision into the discussion? My sense is you'd find that everyone would appreciate having a chance to share their emotions without the risk of being called out or diminished as a result. The lesson here is the red hat allows you to detect emotional undercurrents early and without negative repercussions. The black hat stands for caution and risk. What could go wrong? What are the obstacles? The black hat is the voice of caution. It helps you spot flaws, limitations, and risks before they become real problems. This isn't being negative, but about anticipating and managing risk. The black hat challenges assumptions. It pressure tests your plans. When used well, it helps you avoid blind spots. But if you stay in this hat too long, it can kill morale and the momentum. That's why it works best when balanced with the yellow hat. We'll talk about that hat in a minute. There's probably no big decision that doesn't come without several risks. But if you're not dedicating structured time to identify, capture, and discuss the risks of a big decision, you're inviting a potentially bad outcome. As a business owner, you must be aware of the need for this red hat discussion. I've seen far too many business owners jump to a conclusion or make a hasty decision only later to regret their quick decision. The lesson here is the black hat won't win popularity contests, but it'll save you from costly mistakes. The yellow hat stands for optimism and benefits. What are the upsides? Why might this succeed? Where the black hat sees danger, the yellow hat sees opportunity. It's the hat of constructive optimism. It means actively exploring why something could work. Yellow hat thinking encourages your team to imagine the best case outcomes, benefits to users, and potential wins. It's a necessary antidote to skepticism. And as I mentioned earlier, the yellow hat must be used in collaboration with the red hat. These two hats create the balance necessary to make good decisions with your eyes open to both the risks and the upside potential. If you're normally optimistic and have a can-do attitude about things, this will be an easy hat to wear. Don't forget the value it brings to those who are skeptics or naturally more pessimistic. It allows them to see the other side of the decision without simply relying on your "we can accomplish anything" attitude. The lesson here is don't shut down early ideas or prototypes. Yellow hat thinking helps you see the hidden gold. The green hat stands for creativity and new ideas. What else could we try? What's a wild idea worth exploring? The green hat is where the magic happens. Most teams default to practicality and execution too fast. Let me say that again because it's a very important message to hear. Most teams default to practicality and execution too fast. Sound like anyone you know? The green hat protects creative space and encourages ideas and alternative approaches. In my experience using Kaizen, rapid continuous improvement methodology, we would intentionally dedicate one full day to the idea of brainstorming different and perhaps better ways to get the job done. It was typically the Wednesday of each week, right in the middle, and it was, in fact, where the magic happened. I'd highly recommend you find ways to incorporate green hat time into your decision-making process. The lesson here is the best solutions often start as wild ideas. The green hat gives your team permission to go there. And finally, the blue hat stands for process and planning. What's the agenda? What hat do we need now? What's next? The blue hat is the conductor of the orchestra. When you're wearing a blue hat, you decide which hat to wear next, how long to spend in each mode, and how to summarize the outcomes. The blue hat helps you stay on track and move closer to your goal. Without that structure and process, you can end up going in circles from one hat to another without any conclusion or any real progress. When you're wearing the blue hat, you're not contributing more ideas, but you're creating space where ideas can flow and help you move forward. Here's something important to remember. Hats are not roles. Everyone wears the same hat at the same time. You're not labeling people, you're guiding everyone's thinking. So here's a good example to give you a better idea how this works. Let's say you're facing a complex challenge. Sales are down, the product roadmap is fuzzy, and your team is burned out. Here's how you might run a 6-hat session. Number 1, start with the blue hat. Set the agenda. We're going to explore this problem using all 6 hats. We'll spend 5 minutes on each. Our goal is clarity and action. Number 2, move to the white hat. Gather the facts. What do we actually know? What metrics do we have? What are the unknowns? Number 3, go to the red hat. Now it's time for feelings. No justification, just gut. This whole launch feels rushed. I don't feel confident. Let the emotions flow. Number 4, the black hat. What could go wrong? Where are the risks? Be honest, but don't let this dominate the session. Then number 5, the yellow hat. Now shift to optimism. What's the opportunity here? What's going well? Why might this idea work? Number 6, the green hat. Time to get creative. What if we flipped the model? What if we tried something bold? No idea is too weird in this phase. And then lastly, number 7, the blue hat again. Wrap up. What did we learn? What's the next action? While you're working this framework, here are a few common traps you want to avoid. Number 1, using the hats in random order. Have a purpose and a reason for the order of the hats. Don't jump randomly. That'll defeat the purpose. Number 2, skipping hats. Teams often skip the red and green hats. That's a mistake. You want to account for all aspects, including the emotional and the creative. And number 3, turning hats into people. Don't say, you're the black hat. This isn't about labeling personalities. It's about sharing thinking modes. The best teams don't just think harder, they think clearer. The 6 thinking hats framework gives you a simple, structured way to have clear conversations, generate ideas, and make better decisions. It'll help your team move forward from scattered opinions to shared understanding. As we wrap up today's podcast, let me leave you with these simple thoughts. The 6 thinking hats will help you structure your meetings in a way that gets you better results faster. Number 2, remember that the different hats are not roles. They're a way for everyone on your team to be in the same thinking mode at the same time. And number 3, don't apply this methodology randomly. There's a logic and a sequence that works. Follow the proven sequence before just winging it. If you'd like some additional support in this area, or want to tap into our free resources, simply go to my website, tourtoprofit.com. You'll find everything you need there. Thanks for joining me today. Be sure to tune in next week when we're going to discuss why every business owner needs someone who has higher standards than they do. You won't want to miss it. Now, go make it a great week, and whatever you do, ride hard.
Thank you for listening to Why Business Teams Fail and How to Avoid It. Make sure to like, subscribe, and tell your friends so you don't ever miss an episode. Now go make it a great week, and whatever you do, ride hard.